So I would usually start by saying good morning. It's actually good afternoon, and it's actually Tuesday the 25th. Yesterday, I'm not really sure what happened. Wasn't feeling particularly well on Sunday night. Went to bed, didn't feel well all night. Could barely sleep. Got up, and then was pretty sick and spent the whole day in pieces, really, just in bed. Everything, the whole body was sore. Couldn't really move, and yes, pretty much slept all day, and back to work today. So anyway, so that was that. Back to work today. Nice and easy, really. Just did the 2 fortnightly lawns that I've got that flexibility with. Just thought I'd do those ones, ease myself back into it. Nothing too strenuous. It's like nearly 30 degrees out, so yeah, did that. Couple of quotes and a few other things. So nice easy day, really. Tomorrow got the wet lawn, although I imagine that to be a very dry lawn now. And then we're going to be just cutting going to one of Thursday's lawns and just starting to cut back all the wild grass areas, which have predominantly daffodils, but we leave them long until about now. So yeah, going to do the usual sort of mowing jobs and then spend some time cutting that. This week also marks the start of hedge cutting. So as I said in last week's video, you know, this would be the start of it. It also is going to be the first week where I'm going to have someone coming in to help me, as one of the guys who helped me last summer. So he'll be coming in just for the one day. Because, one of the reasons for why I've sort of brought the other reason for doing the 2 jobs I did today was I can bring every day I'll bring 1 job forward. So hopefully on Friday, rather than doing 3 jobs, I'll do 2 jobs, and then hopefully we are planning as a family to go away camping for the weekend, just down in the New Forest. So pretty busy, but that's, you know, that's kind of how I sort of structure it, that I can move things forwards and back and not necessarily miss any work, because it should be lawn care today, and I never really feel comfortable with chucking fertiliser down in 30-degree heat. So I do think it's important to be quite flexible and do some other stuff. Okay, so it's Wednesday. It was 20 degrees at 8 o'clock this morning. So this is wet lawn, as I say. No need to put the wellies on and trim anymore. It's browning off. This is down to the client to water. Yeah, I guess it is what it is. It's cut, it's striped. I've kind of done my part as much as I can. That's somewhat the problem with these bigger lawns, is you know, you can't, it's not a case of just stick a sprinkler on one lawn while you cut the front and swap them around. You'd be having to, it's almost not worth it. You'd need to keep moving them around constantly. So that really comes down to the client. Just out the front now, I'll just show you that. Again, the front of it does brown off quite quickly, because it's just on a little bit of a slope. Okay, so you've got an area which is quite shaded, and because of that it stays pretty green, which is good. This bit always tends to brown off pretty quickly, but it's striped up, so you know, it is what it is. Okay, pretty hot. Just run out, this area was really long. You can see the path in the middle that I kept short, so I just periodically do this. I've just run over with the Time Master. It's a bit wispy here and there because some of the grass is really long, but certainly tidies it up. So I'm just going to go around the strimmer in a minute and do, that's like 2 tree stumps, and just sort of smarten those areas up. But effectively that's kind of what it looked like. This is a field that they put horses in and stuff like that, so I don't have to cut any of that. But yeah, done this area, so we're just going to go through the gate now and do that section. Traditionally this year, this area, which I'm about to show you and the videos, is an area that I've always used the strimmer to do. Certainly to get it down from this height. You can put the Time Master on its highest setting, but the issue is it doesn't really show you how steep of a bank it is. Particularly in the middle there, it is really quite steep. There's loads and loads of ruts and holes and things like that. I'd be really quite wary of taking sort of like a tractor mower over it at this height where you just can't see the holes, because I honestly think it would flip it probably. Now last year I put some footage in now that Trackmaster have just put up from last year, where I was using their flail mower, and that was brilliant. And we did a little bit of area and shot some footage and stuff like that. I'll put that in now, as I say. And however, today what I'm going to be doing is, so one thing I have done is, as you know, I've been keeping all this area where there's no real kind of wildflower down. So this area is actually quite a lot smaller than what it normally is. Normally it would be the whole area, but it's just that section there and this section here. So what I'm doing today is I've already done the sunken garden lawn over there and areas, so I've already cut all that for this week. I'm doing it a day early, but now it's about 2 o'clock-ish, I think. So I mean, it's pretty hot. It's not ideal, but it kind of is what it is. So we're going to be trimming this down, just kind of getting it down. I'm not clearing it up or anything like that. What I will do is, once I've trimmed it down, is the shorter grass, anything which is sort of flipped over onto the short stuff, I will sort of blow that back in. But essentially that's all I'm doing, and then I'll probably give it another cut in the autumn time, just before the leaves start to fall, so that, I mean, all those leaves, they will all be blown back across here, over to here, into the corner, into the fire area. So by getting it down now, tidies it up, and then getting it down again just helps the billy goat blower take the leaves across it so they don't get caught in it. So anyway, so we're going to fire up the FS240 and crack on. I say all done, this area is done, I'll show you. So all that section sort of around there, round to the tree and down and around. So that's topping it off, taking quite a bit off. And actually there's not too much to blow off here, so that's taken me exactly 1 hour. I've got this section here to do as well. This is a much smaller section. Two things. One is, you'll notice my ear defenders are different, and that is because obviously that is pretty loud. And what I find with the Stihl ones, and it's the same with all ear defenders, but I notice it with the Stihl ones, I suppose, because you generally listen to music and podcasts, etc. But once the sort of the padding starts to harden, and inevitably they go brittle and crack and stuff by like that. But as soon as they start to harden, what I tend to find is when they sort of go over the glasses, they tend to not quite sort of go over them properly. You kind of get gaps and stuff like that. So inevitably, you know, they let a bit of sound in. I was trying to listen to a sort of a talking podcast. It was actually the Roy Keane interview on the Stick to Football podcast. It sounded very interesting, but I couldn't really hear it. So I thought, you know what, do away with those. Stick these ones on. Obviously, they're better sound protection, but you know, you're left to your own thoughts, aren't you? Which I suppose can be quite dangerous in some cases. And the other thing is, today I've been wearing my Redback work boots. I really find them so comfortable. I love them. They're not safety boots. I don't think, to be completely honest, you know, that's when I'm using it, it's strapped to me, so it's kept away, so I don't, you know, you're not going to trim your feet off, are you? But with the amounts and dips and badger holes, I don't know, whatever else, I do think it's important to not necessarily have safety boots on, but have boots that tie up, so you can get that ankle support. Because the amount of times, you know, you sort of your foot goes, I think I probably would have twisted my ankle a number of times if it wasn't for the support of a boot which is tied up tight. So that would be one of my top tips for doing areas like that. And with an area like that, you don't know when they're coming, so you just have to walk very slowly, and every time you put your foot down, you just put it down slowly, and sometimes you put it down, you realize you've kind of gone past the other foot and you still haven't touched anything yet. you know, don't commit to that because you're going down the hole otherwise. And as we get older, we don't bounce as much. Yeah, as I say, an hour to do that, so I've just got this area here to do. And yeah, that will be that for today. So yeah, and also what's quite nice is this bit's now in the shade, so so that's been quite good. Usually when I have done this in the past, I would do this first thing in the morning, kind of as it's worked out, just because it's obviously a summer job, but and you know, it's cooler in the mornings. As I started to do this, it got really hot, as sometimes it does in the afternoon, but actually the sun's come round and I'm actually now working in the shade, so it's not that bad. Obviously I've put some waterproof trousers on to protect my legs a little bit, and I'd also say one other thing is, particularly when you're doing areas like this, is probably, and I appreciate I'm wearing a kind of a vest type thing, which is probably not ideal, but checking yourself for ticks once you've had a shower is pretty important. I think I've had 2 or 3 ticks, I would say, on me since I've been doing the lawn care side of it. I never got any as a greenkeeper, and I would say in every case it's where I've had a bag of grass which maybe I've collected on a Friday, and it's sat somewhere over the weekend, and then I've picked it up and then sort of thrown it over my shoulder to dump it, and it seems to be after then that's when I've got ticks, and I tend to have got them on the back of my shoulder. Fortunately my wife's seen them early. She's always grown up with dogs, so can spot them a mile away. So I think, you know, they can do you some serious damage if it goes wrong. So and also the key to ticks is not to pull them or scratch them out, is to get some tweezers and twist them. So there you go, tick advice as well. Okay, so Thursday, we've just been to the first job. That would be normally it'd be a Friday mow, but to be honest, there wasn't much growth. So what we've done is the hornbeam boxes, I think they are, and just done those. I was using my new henchman, the 8-foot ladder. Normally when I'm doing it, that being the old client's house, I had the big henchman, which ironically is now at this property, which you've seen loads of times, the new property. So I didn't get to use that, so the tops I couldn't quite get to, but when I take the big henchman back to do the big side ones, I can tidy up the tops as they were. But for the moment we are working on a roadside, so I've got some cones out. I shall put my high visibility jacket on in a minute, and essentially what we've got is where the cars are parked here, they can't see to get out, so we're taking, last week I trimmed that back, so we're just taking this back in now, cutting all that sort of back and then tidying that one up, trying to get some of that growth out, and yeah, just giving it a sort of a good sort of tidy up. But I mean, we've only been here a couple of minutes really, just to smash this down, and yeah, not bad. Oh, fell over a cone. We need less health and safety. This is the 8-foot henchman, and this is exactly why I've got it, because of the legs. You know, you can adjust them and do it. Well, you know about henchmans, I don't need to tell you, but this is perfect scenario. Got some cones out, doing good. It's just because up there cars come flying up there really quick. Here it's not so bad because they can see you. So yeah, just gonna tackle this hedge a bit more. Not worried about this. This is actually the neighbour's hedge, but we just got permission to do this bit to help them get out their drive. I'll just show you the this area here that I sprayed off the other day. I had to do it in 2 sittings because there was a car parked here, so couldn't do that. Had to wait for them to move the car, and they weren't in to move it, so had to do it all in different bits. But yeah, that's just a little bit of glyphosate, kills it off nicely. And the next job for today is, I'll show you how that ended up, but basically we've got this hedge here around the pool. This is I mean, there's loads of stuff to do, but this is the sort of the priority one, to get this cut back. I'll definitely get this side done. Whether I can get it all done today before I need to move on to the next job, I don't know, but yeah, we'll start off here, and I'm using the this one. I've done a few videos on this. What is it? I can never remember what it's bloody called. This is the Ego H2600E. It's all right. I find it's, in some ways, it's quite good for the rougher stuff, but the speed of the blades is really slow. So you wouldn't want to be using it on a U hedge or anything like that, because you'd end up just having to go over it over and over again, and then having to go over it with shears and stuff like that. When I was testing this last year, when I first got it, I actually ended up using the steel hedge cutter. Just I took sort of like the worst of it off with this, and then went over with my steel hedge cutter just to smarten it up, because it just left so many stragglers. But I believe that's just purely down to the speed of the blades being too slow. But it is you know, I use it for the rougher stuff, and it's all right. I mean, they've made these extra thick, or extra wide, sorry, so you can get bigger chunks in, but I just don't think it has the power to actually cut anything of that size. So maybe it would be better having smaller gaps and a couple more teeth on, perhaps. Okay, so we're just out the front on the bit we did earlier. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, so essentially that's what it was, is to cut that bit back, get that bit trimmed up. I don't know what he wants to do with that up there. Leave it for the moment. That wasn't the priority. Get this cut. I mean, there is stuff further back there I can get, but at this stage he didn't want me getting all of that. He preferred me to move on to the pool. So yeah, so if you're sitting in your car here, just gives you you know, you can see a bit further before you've got to the roadside. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so Friday, and things are drying up. To be fair to the client, they have been out watering, or at least they watered once this week. But yeah, things are looking pretty dry already. I did one of the Friday lawns yesterday, as you know, so yep, I've done this one, cut this one. It's still justified a cut. Whether it does or not next week, I'm not sure. We'll see. It is actually clouded over. It looks like rain, actually. It's when the sun's out, it's really hot. And in t-shirt and shorts, it's a little bit nippy with the cloud cover. But we shall see. I've got one more to do. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I've still got the hedge cutting stuff on, so I probably won't cut. But I might either cut the long stuff or do a bit of hedging. We shall see. I've got about 2 minutes to make a decision. I have opted to go for cutting the long grass back. Now, some of it's still in flower, so I'm not going to do all of it. This island here in the middle, can't really see here but there's still, you know, particularly here, there's quite a few flowers and stuff like that. So what I'll do is I'll start cutting in, but I'll probably leave a little island in the middle. But stuff like this is just rough, and I mean, that's the bonfire pile. That's the compost area, if you like. It's a bloody mess, but it's down the bottom of the garden, and it's where the mess should be. So last week when I was here, I isolated and not isolated, but I found where the lights were in the long stuff, and have cut them free so I can see them and round the pots and stuff like that. So what I'll be able to do is cut all this down, cut all that down, and then then probably get the strimmer just to do the bank as well, just to finish off. And all I do each year is just with the Club Cadet, just put it on its highest setting, take the bag off. Yeah, I could take that off, but just leave it there, to be honest. Makes no odds really. And then just side discharge on the highest setting, and that's all I need to do. Again, I'll do this just like the job I did earlier this week. I'll do this now, and then I'll probably do it towards the end of the summer, and then maybe once again just before particularly the oak leaves start falling, just so I can get everything down here a little bit easier. Once I start doing some hedge cutting, this pile's going to get really big, ready for a bonfire. During the sort of, I do it in the winter. I would never light a fire during the summer nowadays. I think it's dangerous, and it's certainly bad press. Okay, so a short time later, we've cut all that bit down. As I said to you, I was going to leave the stuff in the middle, just because there's a few sort of flowers still flowering, doing their thing. I've got this area here, so I've basically kind of gone round, and now what I'm doing is just going around the trees, with the strimmer, which has just fallen over, and then work on the bank. Gonna sneeze. Excuse me. And obviously the stingers and stuff like that. There's some quite big roots, so you can't really get near the trees really without smashing the deck up. So yeah, that's where we're at. Okay, so it's I think it's 2 o'clock. It's Friday and the week is done. I'm just gonna nip home, and then get changed, showered, then we're going to pick the kids up, and then we are off to the New Forest camping for the weekend. So looking forward to that. So there's a few things that I need to do at some point in the container. That you can see at the very back, probably, you can see that I've got that old ladder. That was what I've been using before this. And that will still probably have its uses, but the combination of that and then the really, really tall 3-piece ladder that I've got that was my granddad's. They'll probably become my main ladders, if you like, and then I've also got the use of the really long henchman as well, but I just can't fit it in the van, so I need to get a roof rack. For that I need to learn how, or work out how to store all this. So initially I had everything, well, you can see I went for like maximum height, but what I think I'm going to do is flip those wood bits over, because you can see they're bowing, and then lower them. I mean, sort of, I guess my head height is about just over the height of the container there, so actually I could drop this 6 inches easy, gain 6 inches gap there, and then actually I can probably stick some of this stuff up there, out of the way, and then maybe have a few more runs going over so we can make more of that space in the roof. We've got all that bit of roof up there as well we can use, because obviously more and more equipment comes in and stuff like that, and obviously I've got the traffic cones down there, which are things that you don't need day to day. You do get jobs when you do need them, so it's stuff you need. And I think, to be honest, most of the stuff in here is not necessarily stuff I use on a day-to-day basis, but it is something that will, you know, when you're using it solidly, but it may only be for like 2 days here and 1 day there type thing. I do have all my 2-stroke tools as well, so my hedge trimmers, my old combi. I'm loath to get rid of them yet. Not that I have any issues with the power of the battery's 2-stroke, no issues at all. I just wonder, you know, if like one night we have a power cut for whatever reason, then what do you do? I remember the storm of 87, and no one had any power for days and weeks in some case. So if we were to, and we tend to get more and more storms, so obviously I guess you could make an argument that actually if you can run them off your van, that's one way of charging them. I don't have that. I probably don't warrant that yet for the amount of battery I do have, but that would be one way of getting around it. Obviously solar's another thing, but currently, until I'm set up with that, I'm just holding on to the petrol stuff just in case. Hope you enjoyed this video. You know, do your usual, like, subscribe, comment. Appreciate it all. Thank you very much. See you later.